Hello, and welcome to another episode of Promoting Thought. And it has been quite some time, so I'm not going to waste too much time going into the reasons why. Suffice to say, technical difficulties have been the order of the day for the past few weeks, but now I'm back. Anyway, there is a lot of stuff to cover. Since the last video, we have had BlizzCon, we have had an announcement of Star Wars The Old Republic's release date, we have had the Battlefield 3 beta, we've had the Call of Duty Elite beta kicking off, we've had the Secret Worlds beta starting, we've had announcements regarding Diablo 3, and Guild Wars 2 is ramping up its thing, Rift is bringing out new patches. There's a lot of exciting stuff happening in the gaming world. It's that time of year when the gaming world really kicks into speed. And one of the things I want to cover at this point is beta testing in general. For those of you that are going into the Call of Duty Elite beta, for those of you that are going into the Battlefield 3 beta, for those of you that are in Star Wars The Old Republic, Secret World, Diablo 3, for those of you who are going to get into Mists of Pandaria, what I want to discuss is just what you actually should expect, what you probably do expect, and what the companies try and get us to expect out of beta tests these days. Because it seems to me the beta phase of a game has become less and less about the testing part and more about the marketing and hype. The real testing seems to occur in alpha a lot of the times these days. I know companies are big on telling us, oh, we're listening to feedback in beta, we're getting lots of good information, we're getting lots of good numbers. But the truth is, a beta test used to be about people you would trust, users who you knew would give you good feedback, getting in to test your game and trying to break it, and then telling you how they've done that. And what seems to be the order of the day now is just get a few people in and basically do a small-scale pre-launch of the game. Let people play it, let people talk about it eventually, and try and, generate a bit more hype, a bit more momentum for your game. Star Wars The Old Republic has kind of broken the mold on this, whereas Funcom's The Secret World has gone entirely in the other direction, running a giant Facebook viral marketing campaign for beta access, where the amount of friends you could refer basically determined if you got in or not. I'm not saying one way or the other is the right or wrong way to approach it, because ultimately none of these games are setting themselves up to deliver a bad experience. They all want to deliver a good experience. What they consider a good experience and how they get there is very different, but they all want to gain and retain customers. And what has to be said is that perhaps some of them are missing the point of beta testing in relation to this. They think it's better to get word out there, to get a bit of hype, a bit of word of mouth being spread about their game, when in truth what the beta testing phase could and should be is a time to fix and squash bugs. If you look at the Battlefield 3 beta, a few friends of mine that have been in that, and a few people I've talked to about that when I've been researching it, have said to me that there are a lot of issues with the game, but that the multiplayer is a lot of fun. A couple of websites have at the moment refused to run their reviews because they're waiting to see how the final version of the game turns out, because even the review version isn't ready. And it seems to me that the Battlefield 3 beta was a missed opportunity by EA to really get in there and show people that they were bug squashing. That being said, I do trust and have confidence that they will deliver a good product at launch. The Call of Duty Elite beta, that's thrown up some interesting and sometimes controversial points, and certainly value-added services like that is something I want to cover in a future issue or episode, but I disagree with them in principle. However, you can't fault the amount of pre-release testing that they're putting into it to try and make sure it works. Activision seem to be learning from Blizzard in that delivering a quality finished product is the way to go. Then you've got to look at, the Secret World. The whole Facebook thing, the way that basically what they've said to people is, hey, the more people you tell about our game, the more people you get interested in it, the more chance you've got of going in beta access. Oh, and by the way, if you spend this much money on our other game, you'll get in as well. Kind of seems like they're really just giving up on it as a testing phase and hammering it as a marketing tool. And good luck to them if it works, but I do think, again, we've got the Diablo 3 beta coming up, which traditionally Blizzard hand out some beta keys to trusted users and community members, and some beta keys through contests, draws, and lotteries. I was fortunate in that during Lich King, I was actually in the testing phase of that. I was in the alpha test because I have a friend who worked at Blizzard at the time, and he no longer does now, which is a shame. But that was very interesting to sort of see the game actually taking shape and see testing being done. And then I was in the beta test, and you really felt like in the beta test it was more just about getting people to play through the content. The alpha test was where the real bug squashing, and work was done. That was my personal feeling. I could be wrong about this. I could have just got the wrong impression, but it's how I felt from being in that. I haven't been in the Old Republic beta test. I'm sad about that. Was really hoping for a key, but there you go. Haven't got into the Secret World one. I got into the Wrath of Heroes beta. Recommend you try that if you get a chance. But again, it doesn't feel much like a beta test, more a pre-release hype machine getting going. And that's kind of the point. These companies that are delivering these betas to try and get us interested in their games, what they're missing is that what will really keep us going, what will really keep us spending money and really keep us in their game, is if they deliver a quality, fun, polished, working experience on launch day. And everybody talks about this, but there have not been many that have actually delivered it. Certainly, even WoW had its issues at launch. I remember the early servers of WoW being very laggy, crashing a lot, long queues to get in. You know, every game that's successful has its issues, and every game that isn't successful usually fails because of its issues. By and large, you're going to have problems. So why not use the testing phase to get rid of as many of them as you can, really? Why are we using time and resources into doing something that can be achieved just as well with a few previews and maybe a demo? Why are we spending time and money and server resources delaying launches for essentially hype generating tools? Why aren't we using beta tests as testing? Why are gamers not being asked questions more along the lines of, why do you want to be in the beta test? What are you looking for? What type of gameplay experience do you most prefer? What type of gameplay experience do you think this game will deliver? Rather than just, what's the spec of your PC and where do you live? Which seems kind of redundant. I mean, it's nice for demographics, it's nice for generating system requirements and knowing what you're working with, but ultimately speaking, it's futile in a testing environment. Why are we as gamers not asking companies, why do you want us to test this? What do you want us to look at? What sort of areas would you like us to focus on? Where do you want us to spend our time? Why aren't we getting together with the developers and saying, look, if we're going to test this for you, give us an outline of what you think we should be testing, what you want us to try and break. Come and watch us try and do it. Spend time, engage with each other, and try and make the games better for everybody when they release, rather than just using it to generate hype and initial sales. That's all I'm saying. We could be doing a lot better on both sides if people remembered what testing was really about when it first began. Going to wrap up there. Quite a short episode, but thanks for listening. As you'll notice, guys, there's little adverts now playing alongside the YouTube channel. Clicking on these helps me get better recording equipment, helps me get a better setup, helps me deliver more videos. Ultimately, it's all good. Thanks for listening. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for your support thus far. Take care, guys. Enjoy your gaming. Be good to each other. See you soon.